right to the ribs. And now Kane. Shawn Michaels hit Kane so hard that Kane's mask came off his face.
Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on those notifications. And once you're done, leave a comment down below and I just might end up responding. I'm a cynical asshole. WWE's a less than perfect company, 2 P's and a content producing pod. While creatively Vince McMahon's favorite child, i.e. the promotion that brought him millions, has faltered more than an ice skater with shin splints when it comes to the wrestlers themselves working the actual matches, even when things are all panned out to go perfectly, they can still find themselves in some sort of botch, slip-up, or awkward moment. I'm D Wicket, and here's 10 recent WWE mistakes that you might have missed. And I am taking off the hoodie. Number 10, WrestleMania's main event. I realize the irony in saying that you might have missed and then immediately pointing to the match literally most built towards in WWE's calendar year, but shut up. In last year's granddaddy of them all, the future grandmamas finally got their time in the sun as WrestleMania 35 had the first ever female main event in the pay-per-view's history. An immensely significant moment in history, especially considering the Divas Revolution was just literally 3 years prior and was still called the goddamn Divas Revolution. And the triple threat that saw Becky Lynch walk in and steal the women's titles off of both Ronda Rousey and Charlotte Flair, the match's finish was unfortunately tainted on the pages of history. The end of the match saw Charlotte outside the ring as Ronda had Becky caught in a fireman's carry. It looks like she goes for an F5 almost, kinda. I don't know what she was going for really, but Becky sort of reverses it into a really bad looking roll up where Ronda's shoulders they're so far away from the mat, and then Michael Cole immediately talks about how Ronda's shoulders were flat on the mat as they go for the 3 count. Oh, WWE. It was so bad.
Weight needed on her Piper's pit. Left leg. Shoulders down. Shoulders down.
Number 9, 300 ounces. Nia Jax may be a physically imposing beast of a lady, but goddamn, she is far from the best promo on the roster. In fact, across the whole women's division, she is arguably one of the most bland talkers available, comparable in charisma to Natalya or even Alicia Fox. Sorry, you guys. Despite this, she was still heavily pushed as a main competitor for pretty much her entire WWE career, and I only word it as such because we haven't seen her in basically a year as of now. Hopefully, she's not just off healing that injury, but working on her promo work and her in-ring work. Please don't come back and injure more women, but work on that promo, because not only did she come off as an unconvincing monster, she was also known for the verbal blunder here and there. For example, that time she accidentally called herself a 300.5 ounce Samoan, which roughly translates to 19 pounds. I will boldly disagree.
There is a 300.5 ounce Samoan standing right in front of you that can rip your face off.
Number 8, a Broken Jackhammer. Jesus, the Universal Championship. Oh, it's in shambles as we speak, boys. The Blueberry Jam belt is currently wrapped around the waist of one Bilious Goldberg, and with just over a week until WrestleMania, his opponent, Roman Reigns, is heavily rumored to be out of active competition and will not be making it to the show of shows this year. That is some bad luck. Almost like karma's coming back around to strike for revenge for the horrors done to the title earlier in the year. Not only is a 50-year-old holding that belt, but he squashed the most interesting and dominating wrestler on the goddamn roster to win it, which was a huge mistake in and of itself. Not only that, Goldberg couldn't even lift the guy all the way up for his finisher. The jackhammer looked so bad. It wasn't a jackhammer. It was one of those plastic hammers in the kids' play tool set.
Can he do this? Can he will? Jackhammer. Can it? Goldberg's the Universal Champion.
Number 7, Kurt Angle's retirement. All right, listen. This list is mostly about actual botches and screw-ups, but the last entry was like half the jackhammer botch, half the fact that they somehow have screwed the Fiend, and now I just want an entry to vent about this creative company's failures. All right, let's give credit to Kurt Angle. He's come out and he's embraced his retirement match as he had the long feud going with Baron Corbin at the time, and it only made sense to conclude the story at WrestleMania, which coincided with when Kurt wanted to step away from the ring and finally give it up. You know, I can accept that, except no, I can't. Why did it have to be Baron Corbin? Angle could have easily squashed this feud at like the Royal Rumble and then beat him again on Raw or something, and then built to the obvious the better option, the only retirement match that makes sense, Kurt Angle versus John Cena. It makes so much sense. Cena debuted on Angle, Kurt retires on John. This is simple math, and it's literally what every human being not named Vince McMahon wanted. So naturally, we get spoon-fed Corbin instead. I'm usually on board with Corbin's internet-breaking heel heat, the way that he approaches being a heel, how he just doesn't care, and I realize I'm falling perfectly into his heel trappings by saying this, but I don't think this is the right call.
That man is Baron Corbin.
Number 6, Asuka's rough landing. Well, it was a rough takeoff into a rough landing, to be fair. The only moment to not take place on TV or pay-per-view, Asuka finds herself in a triple threat match against both Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair at WWE's spiritual home, Madison Square Garden. During the house show match, Charlotte was down on her knees in a position very similar to when Matt Hardy, back in the day when he would set up his brother for Poetry in Motion. Asuka capitalized on this as Becky just so happened to be in the corner at that time, but instead of jumping off Charlotte's back properly, she kind of launches herself off of Charlotte's side and ends up very, very badly slipping, leading to a horrible looking kick and a very rare moment of botchery from the Empress of Tomorrow. Number 5, Dean saves Renee's phone. It is still weird to say Dean. Dean Ambrose. Wow, that's kind of gross. 10 months ago, he broke the wrestling world by debuting for AEW at their debut pay-per-view, Double or Nothing, as the rebirthed Jon Moxley. But just a few months before that, he was still signed to the dotted for World Wrestling Entertainment. Ambrose's last few months were mostly taken over by a rivalry with Seth Rollins, one that, while very underwhelming, did have, some decent spots here and there, and after one such spot where Ambrose crashed Rollins into the announcer's desk, Ambrose can be seen looking out for his girlfriend Renee Young by finding her phone in the rubble and tossing it up to Michael Cole before going for the pinfall. Stand-up boyfriend right there. Number 4, 6-1. If that ratio makes no sense to you, you might have skipped out on Survivor Series 2018. While last year's elimination-based pay-per-view saw the rise of NXT as the Yellow brand finally stepped up to make their voices heard, the year before was busy jobbing out the Blue brand to the Red guys across the entire show. From Charlotte Flair to Daniel Bryan to The Bar to both of the teams of Elimination, SmackDown got completely swept at this pay-per-view, and Raw was built as dominantly taking the night 6-0. Except WWE just forgot about the pre-show. The tag team elimination match might have been a cluster, but it happened, it exists, and it was a win for SmackDown. ST Live actually took the W that night, so did they just forget? Or are they openly telling us how pointless the pre-show really is? Either one of those is a mistake in my book.
And the Usos secure it right here. Toss it. Oh! The homage to Roman Reigns off the splash.
Number 3, Kane's mask. All things considered, that Brothers of Destruction versus D-Generation X match at Crown Jewel was such a bad idea. Maybe the worst idea conceived in 2018. Genuinely, who thought that this was going to go well? Even dip Saudi Prince should have had the foresight to realize that this match full of 50-plus-year-olds was going to suck massive elephant testes, yet they still paid the big bucks and got exactly what they asked for. 4 workers all far past their prime trying to make an entertaining match, and I'll be real with you guys, I skipped the Saudi shows, so I only recently decided to give this match a watch for the first time, and it sucked. It sucked! First botch on the chopping block while on the turnbuckle, Triple H is pounding rights into Kane's forehead when suddenly his mask just drops to the ground.
Right to the ribs. And now Kane. Shawn Michaels hit Kane so hard that Kane's mask came off his face.
We can't even keep a mask on anymore. Oh my god, folks. That should have been a sign to call the match then and there, but instead, number 2, Shawn Michaels' missed moonsault. We got this. We got this instead. The match went on, and because he's still the showstopper, Michaels found himself up on the top rope, moonsaulting to the outside. Now, both Brothers of Destruction were waiting on the outside for Michaels to take this moonsault, mainly to make sure that HBK, the old man he was, doing a moonsault off the turnbuckle to the outside, had no chance dropping to the floor. What happened? Michaels goes for the moonsault, no one catches him, he slams as hard as possible into the floor below. Can you rate a match negative stars?
Shawn Michaels up to the top rope. Michaels moonsault. God almighty.
And number one, the worst black mass ever. In fact, this might be one of the worst finisher attempts in professional wrestling history, and that is not even a joke. NXT TakeOver Chicago 2 saw the already incredible Aleister Black taking on the still incredibly green Lars Sullivan in a very underwhelming match that couldn't have capped off any worse. Black goes for his finisher, the best finisher in the damn company, the Black Mass, but Lars was still busy getting himself to his feet and turning around. He turns and is just able to see Black literally moments after Aleister had went for the Black Mass. He's already gone for the kick, and Lars is still turning around. He notices the position, the stance of Aleister, realizes, hey, wait a minute, this has already happened. I should have already been on the ground. And by the way, that foot missed by a country mile. And Lars is just like, okay, screw it. I'm going to drop in the most unconvincing fashion imaginable. This was dog shit.
The knee of Aleister Black. And Black Mass cover to retain, and Lars Sullivan.
And those are 10 WWE mistakes. What are your thoughts? Let us know in the comments down below. If you like the video, subscribe to the channel with notifications, ring that bell.